Greetings, I'm Barrett, and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we're going to be continuing our playthrough of Aeon, Trespass, Odyssey. This is back by popular demand. I had a lot of people in my comments and Patreon asking me to continue this extravagant, epic, and narrative boss battling adventure. So here we go. We are traveling again onto the Argus, and we are going to be continuing this epic adventure. In the last one, we took on a Hecaton and were able to defeat him, got some great resources, and we're going to be continuing into our Voyage phase. There were a couple things that I didn't do right in the last Voyage phase that I do want to mention. The first one is I did not give the control rod to a Penelope here, or Olympia, sorry. I gave it to just the actual Voyage sheet, and that's not where it should have gone. It should have gone to the active character. So that was at the time Olympia, so she now has that control rod, which is giving her +1 to her Fury. And with a boatload of resources and a defeated Hecaton, we're going to be continuing our Voyage phase. I hope you're excited to see what comes of this. If you're noticing over to the side, I have some new things that I was able to get since our last playthrough. These are all really cool things created by a company called Fancy But Functional. They created an entire insert that holds everything in this game in the box, sleeved. I know it's pretty cool. Anybody who has tried to sleeve this game knows that that whole sleeve system cannot fit in the actual insert that this game came with. So this one was created by Fancy But Functional. I will put a link to it in the description below if you're interested in picking it up. It also has some really neat things that can hold like all your trauma cards, and on the back side of this it can hold your conditions and argonauts and patterns and such. He has a lot of different trays that holds all the different components you're going to need, and it even is able to keep some of our cards separated by cycle. So here's our exploration cards. We have our clue cards here. Over here you see we have our cycle cards for our items, and I've put them in an order where these are the ones we can craft and these are the ones we are not able to yet. On top of that, it holds everything, including even the expansion thicker tiles that are used for our exploration phase. We're cruising around in our boat. And on top of that, it even now comes with something where you can put everything you have from your crew into a little save compartment and have it ready to go and just put it all out on the table. I will say this insert really helps getting the game to the table. Full disclosure, this insert was provided to me by Fancy But Functional. I reached out to them and they were gracious enough to give me one of these to show off on the channel. Like I said, if you're interested, please check out the link in the description of this video. But enough of that, let's get to driving around on the Argos. If you're excited to see if our brave characters can continue this mission and hopefully not sink into the sea, then I need you to meet me at the table.
High class roller, find yourself on top of a hill. You buy yourself a first class bungalow.
Interestingly enough, the cool thing about Aeon, Trespass, Odyssey is this technically is one continuous adventure. Our encounter phase actually broke up the Voyage phase that we were undertaking in the last video series. So we're jumping right into almost kind of the middle of the Voyage phase, but if you kind of get used to the way this moves around, it's easy to drop in and out of those big boss battles. At the conclusion of the boss battles, though, we do get to reset all of our dials to 0, and we get to drop our Argos fate by 2. We don't have any right now. Actually, it is at 0 with that, so we are doing fantastic. Remember, the more fates you have, usually some of the things can not go as well as you're hoping to have happen. So just bear that in mind as you're going. A lot of fate is usually sometimes not a good deal, but maybe it is. Who knows? Let's continue on. After the encounter step comes the advancement step, where I'm going to be able to advance my technologies and also be able to craft some new items or gear that our characters might be able to use. If we look on our timeline here, we are able to create a structural technology at this point. Here are all the different technologies that we have projects for. We have these particular ones right here. Now, only 2 of these are structural, and we, of course, have this big card. Spoiler alert, I'm sure it's going to be the big card, but let's at least look at what we have here. We do have rhetoric, where we can, it says, the Labyrinthians talk about nothingness with devout passion. We need a message of our own. The next one is this Titan hunting. There are only a handful of Titan aboard the Argo. If we are meant to survive, we need to procure more. So these are going to give us this particular advancement, and then we'd flip it over and gain what is on the back, and then we get to add things to whatever is down here. It does lead to these. So these are like the branching trees. Now, for some reason, I believe usually getting the bigger cards out is probably your best bet. For our trading solutions, it says if we are to survive, we need to strengthen our connection with the people of Crete. So it requires Argos works, which we do have, which is why this is in our particular advancement area here. Here's Argos works to prove that we have it. And since we have that, we're going to be able to flip this over and be able to take advantage of the backside. But before we do, we are going to be able to lead this to diplomatic relations, advanced trading solutions, crew expansion, and shallow navigations. So we're going to grab those particular ones from this deck of Technology 1 cards and see what those are all about, or at least maybe just put them at least in there so we can look at them at another time. So here are the cards that these are going to lead to. They're going to lead to advanced trading solutions, which then can lead us down to superior trading solutions and so on and so forth. This one is crew expansion. I'm sure this is going to give us more crew on our Argo. And then this is shallow navigation. I'm not exactly sure what this, oh, this is probably going to be able to help us drive through some shallow areas. That would probably help us out. The other one we have now is diplomatic relationships, which would probably help us with maybe gaining more influence across the different factions of the game. I am going to drop those into our technology projects that we have available to us now. And let's take a look at our trading solutions card. On the back here, it says a small ship dock will allow us to take in trades and establish connections around the island. There's a lot going on the card. Immediate add the Theban Trader Exploration card to the Exploration deck, Cycle 1 only. Here is the Theban Trader. We are going to put that right into our Exploration deck, give it a good old truffle shuffle. Maybe it'll pop out for us when we're doing our Exploration, which would be pretty cool to see some new cards like that. But it doesn't matter. I haven't seen 90% of these cards. So any card I see is probably going to be new to me. Then let's see what else we're able to do. Port Trading. During the negotiation step, we can gain 1 fate to exchange up to 3 times any of these particular resources to gain a resource on the other side. So if there's a particular thing we're interested in trying to craft or be able to find more of for a quest or something, this might be a way to try to get a hold of it. For example, we've got 2 calcified knuckles. So if we ever needed raw ambrosia, we could go to a dock anytime you're on at a port trading. We can, during the negotiation attempt here, we can gain a fate to get 4 raw ambrosias by giving them 1 calcified knuckle. That's not too bad. Now, of course, there's also a flip side. I could give 4 ambrosia to gain a calcified knuckle. So it does look pretty similar to a one-on-one trade, or it's equal swaps, as I should say, which is kind of neat. Now, of course, you can only do this up to 3 times, and you have to spend more fate. So remember, fate, in theory, is not the best. But it's cool to be able to have this ability if we need it. We'll place this up here with the rest of our core technologies here so we have access to all of these different things on our Argo. If we look at where we've gone and where we've come from, as you can see right down here, that is the symbol that we could use for negotiation. There isn't any on the tile we're on, so we're not going to be able to take advantage of that trade right now. But if we ever come back to this tile, we can. But since that's the last city we have visited, I do have to make sure I remember to put this token down. That means you can't visit the city until you visit another city. So you can't just keep going back and forth taking advantage of that trade or something else that would be able to take advantage of just by moving back and forth between 2 tiles. Here are the different things we could craft for our Titans from our Argonauts, but I don't think we're going to do that right now. But do be aware this might come into play soon as we continue through the voyage phase. We might get closer to a battle and I might be thinking about wanting to craft these. But let's see what kind of resources we can gain while we're traveling through the waters of Crete here, or around Crete. Now, on top of learning technologies and crafting gear, this is, again, like I said, a time where you could trade with people. You also could breed Titans at this point as well, but we don't have any of that ability to do right now. So we're going to continue on with the voyage phase. The next event is going to be our story step. There aren't any on our timeline per se. We do have an Argos knowledge that we're going to take advantage of because we graded to our level 2 Argos knowledge. And another thing that would play into effect here is if we actually reach certain story moments on our Memnos cards as well. Here's our Inward Odyssey for 2 because our Argo knowledge is at 2. It says the Argo is abuzz with rumors about the latest Last Academy discovery. Not everyone was on board with the establishment of the Scholar Collective. There were fears they would hoard knowledge, use it to gain more power and control. So far, these fears have seemed to have been unfounded. Socrates and his war philosophers have been working closely with the Argo Works on improving the anti-Kratos helms and their Triskelion connection. while inquisitive scholars have been poring over the last tome, trying to master its flugrant ephemeral script. They started to call this ability the foe's dance, though it is the letters, not the reader, that move. And on those endless pages, they have found something, mentions of the fabled Centiramanes, the many-handed giant who once ruled Crete. Through this information is scarce or inaccessible. What is there paints a picture of a mighty civilization of builders and architects, and curiously, shepherds. Secondary and tertiary sources chart their rise and expansion, and then simply stop, as if the Centimarians suddenly cease to exist. There is a mention of the Centimarians' glyphs you've been seeing around the island, but there is no translation. However, a young promising scholar by the name Palamedes is sure he has deciphered a piece of the puzzle. This glyph found on the Centimarian stone, a broken stele kept in the Lost Academy, means 1. So I believe if we ever see this anywhere in anything, we're going to know that that is the number 1. We're also going to gain the Archaeologistic Technology card from the Secret Deck 1, card 1. So reach into our Secrets deck here. I think it's going to be, this is Secret Deck 1, so it's probably going to be the first card back here. Let's take a look at what we found. We have found the Archaeologistic Structural thing. It says here, this symbols are not merely decorative. All right, and it says requirement 2 Argos knowledge, and we do have that. It's going to lead to nothing, but we do have some new things now. The Centimarians' glyphs. If it is a language long forgotten, with time, we may learn to decipher it. So permanent, this is 1. During your voyages, you will encounter other glyphs that will help you decode the Centimarians' sequence of, or script, sorry, the sequence of glyphs, and find secret Centimarians paragraphs in the main story. These will be denoted by a thumbs up symbol at the beginning of the paragraph. If the paragraph doesn't show this symbol, you must have made a mistake in your decoding. Don't read it. And that's the case. Read it. If that's the case, gain 1 Argos fate. All right, so we're going to put this again up with our core knowledges. Now, I might not be 100% on how this works, but I think as we go through, if we're able to see the glyphs on these particular cards or in the story at some point, we might be able to discern them being a physical number to a storybook moment where you can go check it out. I think that's what they're talking about on this. We'll see how it all transpires as we continue through our epic voyage here. Who knows when the next time we're actually going to see one of those. Could be like, it could be months from now before we see one of these, but who knows? At least we know they're out there, which is cool because another thing going on inside this game. The only 2 steps left are the Doom step and the End step. The Doom step is we're going to just check our Doom card and make sure we have not fulfilled what it says on the card yet. According to this one, it says that when there are 5 or more Doom tokens on this card, flip to 1B, place the excess tokens on the 1B side. And the more this flips, the closer we get to the end of the game and usually the bad outcome. So we're not at that step yet. We only have 2. We'll go to the End step. There's nothing really to resolve at this point, so we'll go to the beginning of the next voyage phase. At the beginning of our voyage phase, the first thing you have to do is move the Argo onto a different tile. You are not allowed to stay in the same place unless something actually tells you to do it. So remember, we have some control rod that in theory is to an Atlantean submarine in theory, and they said it's at a cove north, so that's about the only thing I got going on here. So we're going to keep on going north. I'm going to go to tile 17 as seen right here. So we're going to slide this down, put 17 out, and then we are going to put our boat right up there. We are in a diplomatic area, which means we could take advantage of our trading solutions if we wish to, but we're going to just move there for now and move into the second one, which is where we're going to advance our timeline. We are just going to mark off the next day on our timeline here and move on. The next thing we're going to do is our exploration step. So the first thing we do is we're going to resolve all active exploration symbols on the current tile. The only one we have here is a Doom symbol, so we're going to put this onto our Doom card. That's our third one. Remember that whenever you move onto a tile with a Doom symbol, you will always resolve that. If you ever come onto a Progress or a Titan symbol, you are going to only gain it the first time that the tile is revealed. And also, this symbol right here is now going to mean that once we move off that tile, we'll be moving this to that particular area. It's a city symbol more than it is a diplomatic symbol, but it's kind of a little bit of both. So just to make you know that that's what we're going to be doing here. We actually have found technically another small little city, Odyssey, I guess, up in the north. Once that's done, we're going to now resolve our exploration draw. So the way this works, we're going to just draw up our cards and see what we get. We are going to be able to draw 2 stacks of cards. The first card we have is we're going to resolve this one. It says Smithy. We're going to gain an armament resource. If we're friendly, we're going to gain 2 armament resources instead. And remember, we are on the Minotaurians. I forget what they're called. That symbol, the Minotaur symbol. Let's go with that. That is our guy. That's the waters we are in right now. We are not friendly with them. We are only neutral. So we're only going to gain 1 armament resource. We'll put that into our cargo hold. The next symbol you see here is the adversary symbol. We do not like that symbol. At least I don't think we like that symbol. There are things that you're going to do with that particular symbol. One of them is you're going to move the adversary if it's already on the map. And if the adversary is not on the map, but this is the first time you see this symbol, the encounter during this exploration step, nothing is going to happen. But it's closer to spawning, so we want to be careful. And then we have the symbol down here. That means that we are done with that particular stack, and we're going to move to the next stack. So we'll put this one over here. Now we don't shuffle this back in until, of course, we are told to it. Let's see what we get next here. Now we have found ourselves another monument resource. Oh no, we found a monument resource down. We had an armament last time. So we found a monument this time. So that brings our total to 3 monuments and 2 armaments. So we're getting those, like I said, we're going to be gaining a lot of these resources that when we get closer to a particular battle, that might be when we might want to craft something. That again also tells us to stop drawing. So at this point, we are done with our exploration draw step. We'll now move into our expedition step, and all we're doing now is checking our tile to see if there's anything there that would tell us we're going to be doing an adventure or rest and relaxation or anything, and there's nothing on this tile for that particular thing. So then we'll move to the encounter step. We remember looking at our timeline, there was not an encounter for this particular part of the timeline, so we're going to skip that step. We're going to go right to the advancement step. I love the advancement step because I get to advance my crew and we get to get some new technologies. And at this point, we're going to be doing a battle technology. We're going to see if we can gain a new one. Well, you are going to gain a new one. That's the cool thing about this. You don't have to spend anything. You just kind of get to pick one. So those are all going to be structural. So we get to pick between these 2, Siren Armor or Arrow Barrage. The Arrow Barrage states reinforced spear and arrow tips as well as synchronicity training allows ship-stationed warriors to slightly weaken the AT field, the Aeon Trespass field of a primordial. And we're going to be able to gain Tremere ranged weapons, and it's going to lead to Crisis Protocol and basic support equipment. The other one we could get is Siren Armor. Experimentation leads to us to suspect that the hardened Aeon or the AE Siren's shell will allow a great stopgap defensive solution. This is going to give us Tyrene range, or it has to have ranged weapons. It leads to advanced Tyrene ranged weapons and force Kratos reactions. So let's look at the back of these and see what both of these do. So the Arrow Barrage is going to be, it looks like it's going to be like an Argo ability, and we're going to be able to place 1 break token or 2 opening tokens in the Kratos pool, and it has 3 charges that we're going to be able to bring to the battle. It says here, ready volley. The other one is going to be giving us the ability to make better armor for our our Argonauts Titans is the other one. Oh, this is a tough choice because I kind of want both. That's the hardest part about this game. Of the 2 technologies, I think we're going to go with Arrow Barrage. I think it'll be really neat to be able to bring an Argo ability into the battle. Now, you can only ever have equal to the amount of your Argo abilities according to your Argo that you have on your sheet. We have 2, as you can see by my hands holding up on the screen. We are able to only ever bring in 2 to a battle. It doesn't mean we can't have more available to like decide what we want to bring in, but we only can bring 2 at this time. That may go up as the game goes forward. We'll put Siren Armor back in our technology projects, and then we do have some new ones that we were able to get because of Arrow Barrage. One of them is basic support equipment, where we have a junction is more malleable than we first thought. We may be able to tinker with the helms to spur specific reactions. All right, anti-Kratos helms. All right, the other one is Crisis Protocol. The fallen priests have uncovered a surprising Gaia connection through the Trixiclian junction. We may be able to stimulate some form of spontaneous healing. Oh, that's not bad. I support healing. So we're going to put those into our technology projects. So we have lots of projects we have in here. Wow, look, these just grew astronomically in 2 turns. That's unbelievable. But I think it's going to be really cool to bring an Argo ability into battle next time. Continuing on, we don't have enough Doom to worry about the Doom step, and there isn't any more to do during the advancement step, so we'll move again to the end step. Again, nothing really to do there. We're just going to go to the next turn and start by moving our ship. And again, I think north is the way to go. I don't have any other thing to do. I could go sailing off into the wild blue yonder here if I want to, or I could go this way as well. But I think we're going to keep going north. There was something telling us to go north, so why don't we just follow our control rod? I don't know if it's ever good to follow a control rod, but here we go. Here's 12. We're going to go straight up here and see what we have found. Well, good news, we did not find another Doom symbol. That's half the battle. We'll move our ship up to that area, and that's going to be something you have to do. The next thing we have to do is mark off the next day in our timeline. Sadly, we do not get to make any advancements this turn, which is kind of sad. Now, remember, like I said, well, we do have a cackle special event coming up here. This might be before this. This is where we might want to think about maybe crafting some items for our crew, or for our Titans, I should say, because I don't know what that's going to do. And remember, the next one is going to be a battle, so by day 7 we will want to decide if we want to make anything for our guys. Moving off of this tile, I have to now place that there so that we know we can't come back to this to do any do any type of trading or any diplomacy type things until after we find another town. Moving into the exploration step, we are going to now resolve any symbols on our tile here. There are none that are going to have to do with our exploration step. There will be some when it comes to our story event. So since there's none of those, we will resolve our exploration draw at this time. At the end of our last exploration draw, we didn't have any of these saying that we have to remove them until after our next timeline battle. So we're going to take these two and shuffle them back into our deck here. So we'll give this a good old truffle shuffle. We may see those again. Hopefully we don't see the one about the that adversary coming at us. That would be terrible. We're going to draw our first one. We have found ourselves another abandoned shrine. Well, I don't know if it's the same one, but we found a monument again. We'll grab another monument. We're at 4 of those, and we'll draw our next one because this one does say to end the draw step. Our next one is going to be, okay, we found another one of these. Now I found 2 armaments, which is awesome. Now if it says I'm denounced, I gain 1 instead. There, we are not denounced, so we're going to gain 2 more of those. We're at 4 and 4 each. Now, since we only saw this once during our draw step, that means nothing happens, but we're getting closer to having an adversary spawn. Now, the only time an adversary would come on from these cards is if both cards you drew actually show that symbol, from how I understand it. So we're done here. Neither of these say, again, to remove them until the next timeline battle, so we'll put them into here. We'll give this a good old truffle shuffle, and it'll be ready for our next exploration phase. Oh, I love getting stuff from that deck. Now, this particular tile is going to be part of our expedition step. We do see an adventure on this particular tile right here. We don't have to see a rest and relaxation symbol though, so we are going to perform an adventure. At this point, we'll have to see what story we're going to be going on. To figure that out, I will have to look at what story card we're on. We're on story card 1, which is right here. We're on 1A, so we're going to roll on story part A1 over here. Roll a d10 and see what story moment we're going to be dealing with. Number 2, we're going to be doing a fated conundrum. Let's find our fated conundrum here in the adventure track, and I am going to cross this off right here. It's the alpha symbol, so we are going to read that from the book. Notice here in the book we do have the alpha symbol at the top, which is bitter seeds, so we're going to read that one. But if it wasn't and we were checking off one of the middle boxes, we would then roll again to see what one we'd be able to deal with here, and we would be dealing with stewards, sorry. So, but since we're not, we're just starting, we're going to be doing bitter seeds. Let's take a look. Bitter seeds. And it says gods. I'm not sure what that means, but it says here, your scouting mission led you deeper into the jagged coast, where supposedly a few villages found a way to avoid the primordial terror. Your search ends fruitlessly, but on your way back, you are stopped by a woman in tattered robe. She in her mid-20s, but the geometric pattern of the tattoo that covers her face makes her look older and more sinister. Have you heard the truth of the labyrinth? She asks melodically. If you have the Mennonian guide with you, C004, then choose. So we have to C004 first. Argonauts, please be wary of this woman. says the Menonian guide. She wears the tatters of the cult. She may look harmless, but her words are poison. Warn your crew. Subtract 1 fate or lose 1 member, 1 hidden member. And I have to make an Achilles tally mark. Then return to the Bitter Seed adventures from the Fated Conundrum Hub. We are on our 2nd tally mark here. Then let's continue. It says, you have heard whispers of this new faith, of the labyrinth. You're new to the island, and the Argos crew is still looking for its identity. This is fertile ground for indoctrination. You're best leave her be. You ignore her and go on your way. We subtract 1 fate, Argo fate. We don't have any, so I'm not too worried about this. But I do gain a diplomacy toward the Menonians, and I see 17. Otherwise, the Menonians had the maze built. Now these people worship it. There's a clear connection. She may prove a useful source of information. If approached carefully, you try to obtain information from the woman. This way I get Labyrinthian's diplomacy +1 and C13. Here we go, I gotta make a choice, and both look fantastic. Now I do want to mention the subtraction of the Argo fate is going to happen no matter which one I choose, I believe. Oh no, it's not. It's only for if I choose the top one. And since I don't have any, it's not that big a deal. Maybe we go with the Labyrinthians this time, just to see what happens. I have a neutral with them. It's at 0. The other 2 factions I've encountered all have diplomacy 1. Now, of course, the more I go with a certain diplomacy, I'll get to friendly and even allied. And I'm still in the Menonians' waters. Again, not sure how long I'm going to be in the Menonians' waters, though. So, oh, man, such a tough choice. Now, my guide, of course, told me she's evil, but of course she's a Menonian, so... Let's get some information. We're going to get the +1 diplomacy for the Labyrinthians, and I'm going to see 0013. We are now going to go to +1 with the Labyrinthians, and so I'm actually at +1 with everybody, which is kind of a nice place to be. Now, sadly, I'd like to be at +4. So like I said, I could have gone with the Menonians and probably kept it going and maybe got to friendly, which could help with some of those exploration cards. And even when we do move into do things at their cities, or even some of the adventures that have to do with them. She looks at you with profound understanding in her bright eyes. You have a flower, can blossom even in a desert. Can you not? And you will blossom. You feel your wounds tingling as the geometric patterns expand ever so slightly. What have you done to me, you ask? Nothing was done, for there was no discernible will and no path to follow. It has just happened, and it will happen again and again, for people's eyes have been opened and they see the labyrinth for what it is. This woman is too dangerous to be allowed to roam free. Banish her from the countryside before she spreads her corruption further. You banish her. Okay, so that's... Oh, I do have to make a choice, it says. Choose one of these things. At that point, I'm going to lose my diplomacy with her, and all Argonauts are going to gain 1 rage, and they're also going to gain 1 fate. And any maze-touch Argonauts are going to gain an additional fate. I don't think I have any maze-touched Argonauts. I could be wrong. I'd have to look through them a little bit. Then, or else we could do number 2. The woman is too dangerous to leave alone. She needs to be isolated so she can't spread her poisonous ideology any further. You need to interrogate her thoroughly, lest you risk entering a war unprepared. Well, that's not bad. You imprison the prophet. I don't know if I want to imprison her. So I either have to banish her or imprison her. Both of those words sound bad. I think I'm going to go with the imprisonment because I don't want to gain all this right here. Gaining a bunch of rage and fate and all this before I even fight something is bad, and losing diplomacy, bad. I don't like any of that's all bad. Before she can utter another word, you subdue her and bring her aboard the Argo. You will get to the bottom of this cult. Oh my gosh. This time I'm going to gain Argo's fate. That's even worse, I believe. Maybe I should have done the other one. And I'm going to gain a stranger on the boat, which is also not good. But I do gain a progress, which is going to be awesome. And it does say the least likely Argonaut gains the Haunted Memnos card. And the Menonians' diplomacy is down by -1. Oh, either one would have gone down. That's bad news. I'm going to see 40 now. So looking at our boat, we're down to 0 on this. We got 1 stranger and 2 Argos fate. I think all that was worse than what I originally would have got, but oh well. Now, before we find out who the most unlucky or most likely is, or unlikely, we have to also remember that we have to look at the tags of things we're doing. We have gods here on Bitter Seeds, so if that matches any of our Memnos tags, we're going to be filling in a box, and we should have done that before we even started reading this particular entry. And as we see here, Roz has Death Follows, which does have the God's Tag here, so we are going to fill in the first one of these little nodes on her Memnos thing. Now that we have that box filled in, we're going to be looking for the most least likely. The least likely person is going to be the person with the least amount of Memnos cards. Now we all have one, so we are all tied at that point. And since that's the case, we're going to look for the one with the least amount of Memnos nodes filled in. Now remember, faded Memnos are not going to count towards this. So when it comes to everybody's Memnos cards, we all have one. There is 2 people without one of these filled in. Olympia and Roz both have them filled in, so it's going to leave Penelope and who is this guy? Telebacus. Since there's no more way to break a tie, we're just going to roll the dice. The black one is going to be Penelope. We'll see who gets the highest number, and that's going to be the person who gets. Well, actually, probably should declare that before I roll the dice. And since it's least, I think we're going with the person who gets the least number. The lowest number is going to be the one that gets it. Let's see what we got here. It's going to be him. He's going to be the one that's going to get the Memnor, the haunted one, the haunted Memnos. It says here that your past lingers like a waft of cold air. Something happened to you, something unspeakable. Here it is. He is haunted. We'll flip it over here. Haunted. Fate, Supernatural, and Curse will advance this. Level 1. Once per adventure, you may reroll any D10. Oh, that'll be really nice. So we'll put that with our Siren Survivor there. And we'll also write it over here. He is now haunted. H-A-U-N-T-E-D. Oh, there we go. Haunted. Perfect. Haunted is also going to give us +1 to our wisdom and +1 to will. So we'll write these down. We'll get a 1 there, and then I have to erase this one and put a 2 in there for will. These, of course, are going to help us with any skill checks. We also have to go to number 40 here. It says, you are called to the brig. The priest of the maze has agreed to talk. You can't decide if that's a good or bad thing. The small room is drenched in shadows. The chained woman sits on the floor while all of you stand around her like hawks. Yet she seems disturbingly at ease, whereas you wince at every right angle and straight line. Was this room always so symmetrical? Choose a leader. The leader tests wisdom or will. Well, that's kind of funny. I might make it Telebacus because he now has 2 will, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. So he's going to be the one doing it, I think. It's going to be great. 10 plus. Add or subtract the Labyrinthian's diplomacy modifier for each Argonaut. Save the leader. Can gain 1 danger to add +1. All right, we'll make a roll on this and see what happens. So I'm going to roll the die. I'm going to need a 10 plus. I can add or subtract the Labyrinthian's diplomacy modifier, which right now is nothing because we're totally neutral. And I could potentially give each of these Argonauts +1 danger to add +1 to this roll. So technically I need a 7 or better on this dice, and then I can give the other 3 +1 to the danger value to get to that 10 plus. But of course I also get to add 2 because I have 2 will. Come on, Telebacus, let's make us proud. Nope, he got a 3. So that's gonna be a 5. And if I even add and I'm not gonna give the guys enough danger to make this succeed. So sadly, we failed. You ask direct questions, but she always finds a way to meander and change the topic. Have you learned the truth of the labyrinth? We have no interest in that. Interest is not the point, Argonaut. On the contrary, this is one truth that cannot be silenced, cannot be imprisoned, cannot be contained. Like you, I am merely a mouthpiece. Has your search borne fruit? How many have you driven away? How many have died? How many still must die for your errant quest to do what? Why? What stake do you have in the fate of Crete? None. You grasp at meaning because you feel that without your mission, your presence here is pointless. It is. Her body starts to unwind like a puzzle box. Skin, muscle, tissue, bones, all precisely cut along the tattoo lines. Even her blood leaves symmetrical splash lines. When the gruesome blossoming is over, the prophet is dead, or transformed into an embodiment of the labyrinth itself. You leave the interrogation room, diminished somehow. The party leader gains 1 despair token. Bleh. We gain 1 doom. Bleh. Oh, this is barf. And +1 strangers. That's fantastic. And each faction's diplomacy goes down by 2. Regardless of this result, if you have 3+ strangers, go to 14. Okay, that was absolutely horrible. Telebacchus now has 1 despair token. Here is what these do. Whenever you gain a despair token in battle or resolve a story passage, place it on your Argonaut card. These tokens greatly look like this, and they greatly influence your performance in battle. As long as you have despair tokens, you don't stand adjacent to another Titan, you gain the following penalties. So with this 1 token that I have, I'm going to be at -1 precision here. Of course, as you can see, if you get 4 or more, that's super, super bad. We can discard 1 despair token each time you deal a wound. All despair tokens are discarded during the casualties step of the battle aftermath. Note that if you gain despair tokens outside of battle, they will remain on your Argonaut card until the end of the next battle or until otherwise discarded. Telebacchus now has that 1 despair token. I will stick it right here. That was fantastic. Couldn't you roll a little bit better? And then I wouldn't have had to worry about these despair tokens. We did get 1 more Doom token in that. That was awesome. So now I have 4 of those. I did get 1 advancement token, so we're progress token, sorry. So we're going to put that there with that card. I think at this point, if we need to counteract these Doom tokens, I know it's kind of cool to get that inward Odyssey truth and the labyrinth stuff for our card here, but I think at this rate, we need to start working on this. And since we're at the end of our story moments, we're going to move to the Dooms phase, and there isn't anything to do here because we are not at 5, but we're really, really close. We'll move to the end step. We don't really have anything to do on our end step at this time, so we're going to go right to the next movement phase for our Argo here. We're going to move north again. That's really my only thing I've got going for me. I'm going to keep on guessing that we're going north and see what happens to us. Well, here is our northern tile. We'll flip it over. We've hit the land, and we're not going to be going further anymore. And lucky for us, check it out. We found Doom. That's amazing. I love Doom. Don't love Doom at all. Our next step is to advance the timeline, and lucky for me, I get to make a breakthrough here. I get to do one of these structural technologies, which are going to be pretty cool. Let's take a look at our tile. There's a lot of things on it. Right now, we've actually moved into a new area. This is the Hornsworth area, and I didn't realize this, but you can tell right from here that this one does show that we're going towards the Hornsworth, and also over on this tile as well. But if you look at 13, if I slide it into the picture, we'd still be in the Minorian area. So it's interesting that it tells you kind of where you're going on this. So if I do go this way, we're going Minorians. These are going to be more towards the Hornsworn. So that's kind of cool. They have that. We do have another story moment happening up here. Hopefully we'll have a better adventure than our last one. Of course, you are noticing on that tile that there is a Doom symbol. That's just awesome because now we are at 5, which is fantastic. So I'm going to remove all these, and you can flip these over, and one of them is now a 5. So that's fantastic. We have 5 Doom. You know what that's going to mean. Hopefully I get some more of this progress here pretty soon, because right now the Doom is winning, which is not a good sign. Next, we're going to do our exploration draw. So I'm just going to give these a good old truffle shuffle, just like I've done in the past. We'll put them all down on the table here and draw a couple cards. The first one we have is this one. This is going to end our draw. We do get an armament. I'm not friendly with anybody. Everybody hates me right now. They don't hate me, but it's just like everything's going in the wrong direction. So we do get 1 more armament. We are at 5 armament, which is pretty good. I'd like some other materials as well. And that, if you notice, is also the end of that draw. The next one is this one. I get 2 Tremere resources. That's something I really want. I have 0 of those, and those are something I really have been looking for. Now, of course, we just have the 1 from here, so we're not going to be spawning any type of enemy on this. We're going to mix these back in because neither of these were, I don't think either of these were removed. Nope, these are not removed ones. So we're going to put those back into our deck here. Give it a good old truffle shuffle. We'll be all set and ready for the next time. Moving back to the tile, we are going to look and see that there is there is an expedition on a tile with an adventure. So I'm going to be doing that particular part here. One thing I forgot to mention is we kind of skipped a few of the steps last time, the encounter, advancement stuff, those type of things. And I said story, but that wasn't the story. It should have been our expedition is when we deal with this. We did not actually have any advancements in the last cycle turn, so it's not the end of the world. And there, of course, are no encounters out there to have or any of that nature. So that's why I kind of went straight to that Doom step. We're going to look at the encounter or the adventure table and resolve an adventure and see what befalls our Argonauts, hopefully something better than last time. Again, we got our cool book. We're on story 1. Let's roll our dice and see what happens here. We got a 10. It is going to be Man of Purpose. Since this is our first one, we are going to cross off the alpha one for Man of Purpose, and we will start in that particular story moment for the expedition. Here is our first story for this particular adventure during our expedition phase. We'll see what we got here. It says, crime comes a savior. And this is crime. I'm right over here. We're going to be dealing with the Memnos cards in just a second. Let's read what it says. Following rumors about a hidden cache of these Thesis, you arrive at a small fishing village, or what was one, at some point. Now the pier stands tall and naked, its pilings barred like corroding teeth. The boats sink in sticky mud. There was water here once. Further from the dried up shore, short, stubby stumps pierce the ground, the fabled underwater forests of Crete, or what remains of them. There, a few villagers are hunting crabs and harvesting the tough as stone bark. One of the women notices you. She comes closer, examining you carefully and noting your exotic appearance and equipment, and leads you to the headman of the village. "We are twice cursed, outsiders," says the headman before you have a chance to explain your mission. "First came the Hornsworn. When they left for the war against Menonian's tyranny, they were heroes. They returned thieves and murderers who prey on the weak. Each month they descend from Theseus's keep to collect and share of our catch, payment for their protection. But the sea has receded, and there's no more catch. Soon we will starve. Help us, and we will share with you anything we have. Petra," he motions to the woman who introduced you, "can guide you. She knows the coast like the back of her hand." Choose a party leader, then C0001. Sweet, don't even know what I need to worry about here yet. Let's see what we need to think about. Okay, first let's deal with this. I do have crime on this person, so we are going to fill in the next Memnos node here. And I'm going to make Olympia our leader, mainly because if they're looking for crime as a keyword and she's got it, maybe it might even be one of these skills that we might be having to deal with. Who knows? We'll find out. Petra guides you along the desiccated shore. Here and there, small maze fragments protrude from the sand like discarded shells. "When I was a little girl, this place was peaceful," muses Petra. "Though men came for tribute just the same. My father always got sad when he saw Minon's sails. Well," she added quietly, "except for once." "What happened that time?" She gives you a strange look. "The sea was festooned with flowers. Beautiful. Prince Androgos had died at Athens. The king mourned. The island? Not so much. Nobody knew it would come to the Minotaur. The Minos would lose it. You reach the cliff where the steps have been carved into the very stone. If not for Theseus, we would have all ended up in Minotaur's belly." You carefully climb the hand-cut steps, taking care not to slip on the damp stone. When you are about 2/3 of the way up, a lone guard in a tattered robe bars your path. "Turn back, outlanders. This is Theseus's domain." "That's why we have come." The guard looks uneasy, but seeing your numbers, decided not to push his luck. At the top of the stairs, a natural fissure in the cliff serves as the entrance to the Hornsworn's hold. The inside is dark and cramped. This must have been an excellent defensible position during the war. The walls are cracked, however, and here and there the ceiling has caved in. Theseus's hideout might have outlasted Minos, but it will not outlast time. As you pass through the tight corridors, more and more warriors join your file. They wear ragged Chlamydes cloaks and helms with broken horns, but in the fleeting light of the torch you notice flashes of polished bronze plates underneath. "People flock to Theseus," whispers Petra. "We've noticed." "It wasn't just for show, you know. Theseus had a way with words, but he walked the walk. He was a man of purpose. He wanted to make the world a better place." Too bad his followers didn't seem to follow his example. You reach a spacious cavern converted into a dormitory and warehouse. There are stacks of crates and sealed amphoras wrapped in cloth, ready for shipping. "Outsiders!" The deep voice instantly makes you feel unwelcome. "Who invited you?" The speaker, a fat, haggard man sitting on an improvised throne covered in cowhides, grimaces at your sight. "We come like the tide," answers one of you softly. "The shore's dried up. Petra's people cannot carry your burden any more." "Her people are under my protection." He gestures to Petra. "If you interfere, many will suffer." If the Menonian guide is with you, go to 002, and it is, so we don't even need the rest of this. "The Hornsworn! Crete was torn apart for this. Leave them be," says the princess cautiously. I believe there's grander prize here, one you would surely covet. I'll pay these people off, so we may look for it. I can either 1, agree with the prince's proposal, or 2, Hornsworth diplomacy goes down by 2. Oh wait, I think that's all going to happen. Yep, diplomacy goes down by 2. Mannonian diplomacy goes up by 1. I get to go to 10. Or I can deal with Hornsworn yourself, return to 001. I got her for a reason. Might as well use her. Hornsworn diplomacy down by 2. What good are they? Hopefully I don't got to be floating around in their place too much longer. But I do get to have a Mannonian diplomacy go back up 1. Then we'll go to 10. So we're totally going in the right direction in this playthrough. We're down -2 here, and we're up back 1 here on the Mannonian, so that's fantastic. So we have 0, 0, and now -2. Oh my gosh, I might just start using a marker for a tracker for those instead of erasing all the time, because it moves up and down like water. Or I should say it moves like the tide. Princess Acalius has a way with words, and these Hornsworn lap them up hungrily. Soon you are on your way to the lower levels of the keep. Will they leave my village alone? Asked Petra. Certainly, Acacalius smiles wearily. They know the cost is doomed. In their hearts they wanted to leave. They just needed a little push. Petra's face remains dour. All she heard was doomed. In a murky cavern recently uncovered by the receding sea level, the remains of some giant ancient stonework have stood the test of time. Among the broken pillars you find a translucent amphora made of an unknown material. Inside is a viscous fluid with the properties described by the philosophers as paracasual. And here we see some of those little number dot things that, well, one of them was a number 1. This one right here now is telling us it's number 9. So that right there is number 9. I don't know what the other numbers are, but we do know that that at least is a 9. I want to make sure we mark these down so we know what's going on with these numbers. And if, of course, we knew all the numbers, we could probably just turn straight to that particular one of these story moments and read what happens. We get a syphilis tear, but then we gain 1 doom. Seriously? I thought we were doing the right thing. Oh well, doom. C11. You return to the settlement to share the good news. The villagers celebrate their newfound freedom with a humble feast. Petra, for her part, offers her continued service as a guide, at least until you stay on the Cretan shores. You know, says Petra, gazing up at the bright stars of the night sky, you remind me much of Theseus. He also was reluctant at first. This wasn't his fight either, but on a night not unlike this one, he met his reason, Iridian. Least likely Argonaut is going to gain a night remembered Memnos card. Penelope is technically our least likely, so she's going to gain a night to remember. It says here, warm air and cold wine and fabulous colors on the night sky, a love realized or an age attained, a joyous celebration. And we'll flip it over. She is going to gain this. It's deed, heritage, and dream are going to be the ones that affect this thing. She can exhaust this card to, I can use this to unexhaust a item card of some kind. It's like these type of cards here. I think they all have that symbol on them. So that's going to be her little power she gets with this. We'll write down a night to remember it onto her card here. And she's also going to gain 1 courage and 1 fury. That kind of helps her because she doesn't have much none in fury. And courage at a 1, so now that will go to a 2. And we'll write a night to remember. A night. Here we go. Night. Let's see if I can spell this right. It's not going to fit there. But at least we'll have it on there on the sheet. Well, at least I can kind of read that, but that's okay. Returning to 0011, it also doesn't say to go back to the voyage phase. So I'm a little confused. I think you just keep on going. I think I am done because it doesn't tell me to go anywhere else. So I'm going to go back to the voyage phase. Now that we're done with the expedition phase, we'll move past the encounter phase because that's not going to happen. We do have our advancement phase now where the first thing we could do is choose a technology, and these are going to be from our structural technologies for this particular timeline. Now, sadly, I'm not exactly sure what to do here because of I don't think I'm doing the right thing considering all I'm getting is doom, doom, doom. But we're going to go ahead and grab one here. Some of the, like this one will help us get more Titans. This will help us keep our crew up, which is one of the stats of our ship that if it ever goes too far, we're going to lose out. This one is actually interesting because I believe it lets us move on to through the what do you call them, the rivers, and a lot of these have to do with diplomacy. I think this is what I'm thinking of really badly. It says, we've walked blindly into this crisis. Now it's time to learn about the island and acclimate. It says here, trading solutions. Check this out. I can turn this over. It says, our envoys establish our presence on the island. And for diplomatic core, I can, during negotiation, I can lose 4 mortal resources of your choosing and gain 1 Argo fate to gain +1 diplomacy with a local faction. It might not be a bad idea. You don't have to tell me what you think, but I think that's the one I'm going for. Either that or I'm going with rhetoric here. Rhetoric is a labyrinthians talk about nothingness with devout passion. We need a message of our own. I gain some other things here, and it says here, let all who doubt their purpose despair not, for this ship is in itself a message. We are here for a reason. I can save persuasion, gain 1 Argos fate when you're about to gain one of these strangers onto your ship, which we already have 2, super cool. To test diplomacy 7. On a success, I can lower the amount I gain by 1 to a minimum of 0. And I can diatribe during negotiation. I can pay 1 Argos knowledge or 1 Argos fate to lose 1 stranger. Those are the 2 I'm thinking of. I really think this is the way to go now that I think about it, because I've already got 2 strangers and I don't want any more. So we're going to learn this one. That's the one we're going to learn. We're going to put that up there with our learn technologies, and we're going to put these away. We'll put these into our other bin there of technologies we can soon learn. Now that we've done that, we are going to be able to gain a couple new ones here: anti-doctrination philosophy, Menonian investigations, and Titan hunting. So here is our Menonian investigations and then our anti-doctrination philosophies. We'll stick them into our group. Now, I already had Titan hunting. I'm wondering if I should have not had this yet. I should have needed both of these to have this in my thing, and I probably should have. So good thing we went with this, because I should actually have not even had this as an ability to learn. But now I do, because we have both of these in order to gain this. Or it could have just been 1. Let me know in the comments below. Am I supposed to have both of those in order to gain this particular leads to Titan hunting? I had to have both of these requirements to have this card, or just the 1? It'd be interesting to know. If there's anything else that I'm going to do, I'm not going to craft or anything. I do have to place my Doom onto that card from our expedition, or whatever you call it, our adventure. Not much of an adventure, is more of a Doom collecting extravaganza is what that was. We're going to move into our Doom step, so we're going to have to deal with this card here. It does say that when there are 5 or more Doom tokens placed on this card, flip it to side 1B and place excess tokens on side 1B. So we are going to have to sadly flip this. I'm going to move some of my technology cards up there and flip this over. And let's take a look at it. Now, of course, we do get rid of the 5er, but I have to keep the 1 on there. We now come to shapes of things to come. As you familiarize yourself with the island and its people, you start to understand why the daughters of Minos want their father back. Their rule is crumbling. Minos held power with fear and ruthlessness. His empire was a well-oiled machine of tyranny. Now that machine has ground to a halt. The Horned Guard fails to quiet the dissent from the old compatriots of Thesis the Hornsworn, while more and more flock to the maze's cult's alluring promise salvation for all. In this tumultuous time, a lowly beggar known only as the punished begins to accumulate influence. Here are the rules to all of this. First, we're going to have to deal with labyrinthian temple markers. We'll see how this goes. If J1 is marked C50, it is not. If Old Spinner is with you, he is not. We'll place a labyrinthian temple marker on the closest unoccupied city. If there's no unoccupied city symbols on the map, place the token on a map tile adjacent to the Argo. Treat labyrinthian temple marker as a Doom map symbol. Barf. You cannot use negotiation abilities on the marker covered by the labyrinthian temple marker. We have to shuffle the Hecta Trap exploration card into the exploration deck. Random Argonaut is going to gain 1 despair token, and when there are 6 or more Doom tokens on this card, C004, set excess Doom tokens aside, and when the next Doom card is revealed, place them on the new Doom card. Okay, so good news, bad news. This isn't the last Doom card, but bad news, we flipped the Doom card before we flipped any of our progress cards. This is horrible. Every single one of those little, like, paragraph things is bad. The closest unoccupied city, I think, would be this one right here. Now, I'm a little confused as to what this symbol is right up here. I'm wondering if that is one of the towns, but if it is, it's not a town that is one of these. So this is where our Labyrinthian is going to be located. We're going to put that there too, because I technically couldn't do anything there anyway, and that's okay because I don't want to go in there because that's now that's like a, is that even a, that could be a double doom? Double doom, barf. All right. I don't think you can double doom. Maybe you can. Don't want to find out. I'm going to have to, I think I'm going the wrong way. If they're affecting this part of the world, I should probably be over here. We might be going this way next because, well, instead of that way, we'll see. I don't know. This is all getting out of hand real quick. Here's our exploration deck. I'm going to grab that card it told me to and put it right in here and give this all one shuffle here so that it is all set to go. The cool thing about this game, I really like the fact that the art is with these cards. Of course, like I said before, without a magnifying glass, this is kind of hard to read, especially when you're old and your eyes don't work so well. Now we get to see who is the lucky winner for the I have a despair token. I'm hoping it's not going to be Telebacus because he's already got one. I don't want him to get any more. Let's roll the dice, see what we get. He is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll re-roll any 9s or 10s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one up here. There you go, Olympia. Very Merry Christmas. You get a token of despair. That's going to bring us to the end of the turn, and we're going to go back to the beginning. I have to move my ship. I can either choose to go to the 6 or the 8. I have hit a dead end, I guess you could say. I'm going straight north. So one of these two places hopefully will be able to help us continue to go north. I think we're going to go, we've left Mannonian area here, and I think we're just going to keep on going. I'm going to go towards this Hornsworn, I'm sorry, because I think maybe I might get some more stuff. Hopefully I will not find more doom. If I do find more doom, I'm going back south because that means if I must be going the wrong way because I'm going into the wrong area. That's my guess. We're going to take card 6 here, which is going to be moving in this direction, and we have found a way to go north. That's fit. Oh, look at this, found a progress token. Maybe that's the right way. I'm going to place this here, and I'm going to move my ship right over there. That's awesome. And I think now we can go north some more. That'll be fantastic. We're moving into day 5. I've crossed it off right here. Forgot to record it. And we're going to be able to learn a battle ability here, going into our combat ability, going into this particular day. That's going to be awesome. Now, there isn't anything written here yet again, but we do have Crackle special event, which is going to happen during the story events in the next day. So we'll see how that transpires. Now we are going to take a look at our card during the exploration. We're going to trigger all the exploration symbols and then resolve the exploration draw. So if we look at our tile here, the only thing I see is that picture right here, which is absolutely awesome. That is my favorite thing to see. That is going to be a progress token. I'm going to grab that progress token and I am going to place it. I think we're going to place it on the absent rule. And that's because I am still losing to the doom right now. Right now the doom has already flipped to 1B and I am on 1A, and I need to get 6 in order to flip this card. The next thing we're going to do is our exploration draw. So we're going to give this a good old truffle shuffle here. And remember, we put some new cards in here. We haven't seen any of those cards yet, but who knows? Maybe we'll see them pretty soon. We'll put them back down and we'll draw our first stack. Our first stack is going to be 1 armament, and their second stack is going to be the Theban Trader. Let's take a look at the Theban Trader here. Trading, you may exchange up to 5 times. I can trade 3 Tremune for a monument, 4 Tremune for a armament, or I can trade my monument for 1 Tremere or 1 armament for 2 Tremere. Wow, these aren't really good. They're not really going back and forth real well. Muscle cluster or infused mechanism for 2 raw ambrosia, 3 raw ambrosia. I can do stuff. 5 raw ambrosia for a calcified knuckle. Friendly gain 1 mortal or primordial resource chosen from the ones offered by the trader. And it's a Theban trader. I'm not friendly with them. I do get to draw another card. So I'm going to gain my armament. Then we're going to have to decide if we want to do any of that trading. From where we stand right now, I'm not exactly sure if there's anything worth trading. I have a lot of armaments. I have 6 of them, but I don't really have anything that I really need to make with those armaments. But it's just so hard. I'm not a big fan of doing like 1 armament for 2 of these. That doesn't seem like a good trade. Maybe doing that once might not be a bad idea. Let's do that. We're going to get rid of one of our armaments to gain 2 of this resource. It's the I pronounce this terribly every time. Triamir or something. I'm terrible, sorry. I'm going to gain 2 of those. That brings our resource up to 4, and it's going to bring our armaments down to 5. That's going to be the only thing we trade. We could do up to 5 trades, but I would like to keep everything else at about 5. I don't want to do less than 5 for anything. The other things we have, I could get some raw ambrosia, which wouldn't be bad, from calcified knuckles and fleshy mantles. I don't even have fleshy mantles. I do have some calcified bone though. I've got 2 of it. And I've got 3 muscle clusters. Maybe I can use a muscle cluster. Muscle cluster for 2 raw ambrosia. Would that be worth it? I don't think I have anything that uses muscle clusters, do I? Oh, I have a shipwreck shield, which uses a muscle cluster here if I want to make one of those. Or the siren teeth, which we already have as a muscle cluster. So yeah, let's trade a muscle cluster too. I'm going to get rid of a muscle cluster to get 2 raw ambrosias, which brings us up to 8 of those. And I'm going to bring my muscle clusters down to 2. And we'll gain the muscle clusters and the calcified bone again by doing some of the fights against those giant monsters. So we have 8 raw ambrosia now, which should really help us out. Here's our resources right here. We have 4 of these. We have 4 monuments, 4 ornaments, 8 raw ambrosias, and 2 of those, which I think is be pretty good. Now we might have some stuff we might want to make going into it. I do get to draw another card, and here it also says remove until the next timeline battle, so I am going to put that in a discard pile. That one's not going to come back now. The next one we have is, of course, I get 2 of those. I just traded to get 2 of those. Well, now we have 6 of those, which isn't a bad thing because that's a pretty common resource used in a lot of different crafting things. So we now have 6 of those, giving us the ability to maybe craft some items coming up in our next step of the turn here. We don't have any adversaries we have to move or any expeditions we have to do. We're not on an adventure or rest and relaxation points. So we're just going to move right into the advancement steps since there isn't an encounter on our timesheet. So we could choose one of these to go into to learn now. And so there's 3 different ones. We can learn basic equipment, which would give us the ability to craft these kind of equipments. Again, a lot of it takes a lot of stuff. Armaments and infused mechanisms we don't have. 6 monuments. I just gave up some armaments. Look at this, 4 armaments and infused mechanisms. So a lot of these do take a lot of resources. I don't really have a ton of those resources, so maybe thinking about that at another time. Crisis Protocol is something we can use for our Argo ability, which might not be a bad idea because we then would be able to bring 2 Argos abilities into battle if we wanted to. The last one we could do is Siren Armor, where we can then, of course, have the ability to make some Siren Armor that might be able to help us out. I do have a Siren Panoply Armor already, which is right here. It's this item card right here. So it might not be bad. I can use it to reinforce, and I do get an armor die against it, and I think we have some of the stuff to make this. 2 monuments, 2 armaments, and 3 raw ambrosia. 2 monuments, 2 armaments, and 3 raw ambrosia. We could actually make 2 of those if we wanted to hand them out to our characters. The other one is we could make ancient Siren Armor, 5 monuments, 5 raw ambrosia, and 1 ancient shell. I don't have the ancient shell, but I do have the rest of that if I wanted to do it. No, I lied. I only have 4 monuments. That's sad. And this one up here, the shield, we do have the knucklebone, and we do have that resource as well. So those are a few. So there actually are things on that one we could make. So again, I have to decide. I don't think this is a winner right now, but these 2 I think are a good option. You'll have to tell me what you think you would have made, but this is kind of the time when I wish I had everybody standing next to me to give me some ideas here. The 2 Argo abilities would be kind of nice to have, but also being able to have more armor would be good. I think we're going to wait on the armor, and I'm going to be able to bring these 2 Argo abilities into battle in the next battle we go into. So I think it'd be really cool to have these. We have some. We're only going to be fighting a level 1 monster going into we could choose either a Labyrinthosaurus at level 1, or we could choose to fight a Hecaton at level 1 again. So we do have 2 different options going forward, but level 1s, we fought them before, and we were able to make it through just barely by the skin of our teeth last time. So hopefully with these extra Argo abilities, that should be enough to get us through the next battle and not buy any of the armor that we probably should have. So let's grab this. This will be fun. We'll grab that. So now we have 2 different Argo abilities that we can do. We don't have anything else to do. I'm not going to craft anything yet, again, because we don't have a battle on the timeline. Of course, I could get surprised by something in the story, but hopefully not. Then we're also going to move right past the story moments and go to the Doom. We'll have only 1 on here. When we have 6 or more, we'll flip this card. So right now we're sitting here. Sadly, then I banged up my card a little bit. That's what happens when your camera falls on your cards. And we're going to move into the end steps. So there's nothing else to do. We'll start moving our ship again. At this point, I can choose to either go south or I can go north. And remember, we had something, I'm really just going with the idea of this rod helping me with a submarine to the north. We're just going to keep on going in that direction. So I've got my number 1 card. Let's see what our tile looks like. Whoops, I threw it over there. Our tile states, well, really doesn't have anything here except for this point right here, which looks like a rest and relaxation point, I think. We'll take a look at it and see for sure. But we're going to put that there. We're going to move our Argos up. And wow, there's really not much else going on this tile. We'll move to number 6 here. And I do have a story event that is going to take place during these story moments. But other than that, we don't have anything else happening on the timeline. Resolving our tile icons, we do see that there is a rest and relaxation point on there, but nothing else. We don't have any other adventures. I don't gain any doom, which is good. We also don't gain any progress either. So that's really all that's here on this. So that's the end of figuring out what we're going to do on our tile. So we'll move into our exploration draw step. Again, we get to draw our cards. I'll take our cards here, give them a good old truffle shuffle here, and we'll draw into our cards and see what we have found. Our first stack is going to be gain 1 armament. This seems to be the most common card in the deck. I get to gain an armament. I'm up to 6 again. I wish I had the trader again. And their second draw is going to be I get to gain +1 Titan. I'm not friendly, but I can choose an Argonaut to gain 1 rage. Well, I'm not friendly, so I don't get that. So what we do get is 1 armament, bring our armaments back up to 6, and I get a Titan. So we only have a Titan limit of 10, but we only have 8 right now. So we do get 9. I do get an extra Titan. That's awesome. And there is an extra, right here it shows that we are getting to draw another card. So I will draw another card. And we have gotten, what is this? This is the Labyrinthian Vessel. Resolve in effect based on your diplomacy with the Labyrinthians. I am not allied. I am unfriendly with them, I think is what it is. Labyrinthians. No, I'm neutral. I'm neutral with them. So I am going to, each Argonaut gains 1 fate. So all of our Argonauts are going to gain 1 fate. We have 1 fate on our little dials here. And that's it. Remove this till the next timeline battle, and I draw another card, so I'm just going to remove it now so I don't forget. And then we have, what's this? Oh my gosh, here I am saying I'm never seeing any of these cards. They're always the same. And I've gotten everything different. Hornsworn Fleet. Okay, this is going to be terrible because I'm actually unfriendly with them right now. So we are going to gain 1 Argo Fate. Our Argo Fate is up to 3 on our vessel now. That's the 3rd one we have of that. I again get to draw a card and remove this from the time until the next timeline battle. Again, removing it now so I don't forget. And then we finally are done here. Boy, got to see cool things, but that's it. I'm not friendly with anybody. I really got to work on that. I gain 1 resource. So we have another Tremere resource, bringing our Tremere resources up to 7. So we gained out of that 1 Tremere resource, which brings them to 7. Our armaments are now back up to 6. I have gained an Argo Fate. And the last thing I gained is everybody was gaining 1 fate on their dial. So that was the exploration draw step. Now it's time to move into our expedition step, which means we are going to take advantage of our rest and relaxation point here on our map. To figure out what rest and relaxation adventure we're going to go on, we have to roll a d10. We got a 5. We're going to go with the Fete of the Aeons. I should maybe read it right. Fete of the Aeons. Okay, we'll see what that's all about. Number 5. The night is warm and full of stars. The air smells of flowers, wine, and roasted meat. From your vantage point on top of the bridge Thalos, you have a bird's eye view of the whole deck, lit up like a polis on the eve of Dionysus' feast. Among the braziers, your crew mingles. It's quite a thing, isn't it? Says the old priest joining you. They needed it, you agree. You too, I presume. But that wasn't what I was talking about. I meant this, he gushes, opening his arms wide. The many people of the Argo. When you first woke up from your sleepless slumber, I told you, in the beginning, this ship was merely a haven for the exiled and the downtrodden, beached on the coast of California. We lived in peace, but we lived alone. Now this crew, a community, people from all walks of life working together to make this journey possible. You look at the crowds below, laughing, cheering, partying. Soon they may be fighting for their lives again. They will be doing that together too. Do you feel it? The old priest asks after a while. What we are becoming? You would like to wholeheartedly agree, but there is still a part of you missing. Those elusive memories you've been chasing in between the struggle against a post-Olympian world. Yet, when you look below at the crew, even for a moment you do, you feel it. So we're going to gain a progress token. That's fantastic. We're going to put that down on our story because I, again, am behind the doom on that one. We get to lose a stranger. That's awesome. Get rid of that stranger. Barf. We're down to one of those. And every Argonaut can discard a despair token. Woot woot. I'm going to get rid of both of these despair tokens. They are terrible. Let's get rid of them. And then one Argonaut can either discard Meso Touched or gain one node for a fated Memnos. Now, from what I understand, I do not have Meso Touched. If I do, let me know. I don't think I do. And I don't have any fated Memnos cards. I do have Memnos cards, so those are different. So I'm not going to be able to gain a node in a fated Memnos. We're going to skip by the advancement step because I don't have anything that I can advance with when it comes to technologies. But, oh wait, this is going to be the moment where I'm going to have to try to craft stuff if I want to bring anything into battle, because this battle is going to happen before we get to the next advancement step on our voyage. So here are all the things we could craft. Sadly, when it comes to the resources we have, I really would like to get some, ranged weaponry here, but I don't have any fleshy mantles. I do have this if I really wanted to make a petrified javelin. The weapon is right here. It rolls 2 dice. It has +1, and I get to roll 1 red die here. Now the deal is it can only be from 2 to 4, so I can't attack when I'm right next to it. It's also wood, shell, javelin, and flammable, and it's also cumbersome. So that means if during the second window, if you do attack, you do have to exhaust it. You're going to have to unexhaust it again in order to use it at some point. There are a few people out there that allow people to unexhaust some of these items, so maybe it might not be a bad idea to pick one of these up. I'd really like to hear what you think about what we should craft. Should we craft this javelin and give it to somebody? Right now, we're using 2 of these siren teeth. We have these on our characters, and then we have our boat mace on Telebakis. He's using our boat mace, and we have the Kratos Copiece on our other character. I'm not sure. I just don't know if I need to get the range yet for any of the people we fought. Most of them come charging at me and just smash me, and usually stops right next to us. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Other than that, I could get some armor if I wanted, but it's only going to be shields, and I could get a Sail Spolos. I have that right here. It is this one. I get +1 courage, and I can have a second chance with this thing if I wanted to. That could be a possibility of something to craft. It would cost us 3 armaments and 5 raw ambrosia, or we could save all of our stuff, and after we finish the next combat, there's a chance that we might have even more awesome stuff that we can do. And during our next timeline, as we continue forward, we would have the ability to start crafting some other things. Now, one thing I forgot to do is when we did craft our crisis protocol, I should have grabbed the Labyrinthosaurus sighting. I should have grabbed that because that was something that this leads to when it comes to our next crafting stuff, or sorry, advancement steps. So here is the technology card we should have gained. This looks pretty good. Maybe it might be something to be able to do. A mechanical sentry purportedly of Daedalus design. Daedalus, sorry. It appears without warning and vanishes without a trace, suggesting some kind of supernatural force at work. This Labyrinthosaurus sighting. I don't know if that means I'm able to not fight the Labyrinthosaurus so I get this, but we'll see. I think we get to still choose it. So we're going to put that in with the rest of our potential technologies that we can learn, and then we, like I said, have to decide. I will be getting some new things coming out of this next battle, and with those I could maybe make better armor with those with that new set of armor I could make, or I can even start making some of our basic equipment if we decide to learn that one. A lot of those took things we just don't have yet, and maybe we'll get some of those things. So we'll have to decide. I think right now we're going to go with nothing. If you think I should have crafted something, please let me know in the comments of this video, and maybe I'll craft it and say we did that before we move into the next battle. After all, I want everyone to be able to help with this game too. It can't just be me choosing everything. So let me know what you think. A storm brews on the west. Fat, menacing cloud clusters low on the horizon, honeycombed by lightning bolts stabbing the waterline like jagged spears. As you watch the unfolding weather phenomenon, mesmerized by the sheer violence of it, you notice movement, a minuscule blot of blackness, darker even than the clouds. It's gaining speed, heading toward the Argo. "It's back," says the old priest with a grim expression. "The terrible foe, no matter how far we escape, no matter how gravely we wound it, it comes back to haunt us. The scourge of the Hermes. It will not cease until the Argo is destroyed." "Then we face it head on," says one of you with a determined voice. The old priest smiles softly. "Brave. You are not strong enough. You will be in time. Of that I have no doubt. But for now we need to evade it. Bide our time." As you're about to leave, the priest adds, It will catch up to us eventually. When that happens, do not be fooled by its bestial demeanor. It is a cunning enemy, and it sees us as a plaything. I think that is why it allowed us to progress this far, to play. In battle, do not show strength until you are certain you can finish it. You look back to the horizon. The rumbling of the storm now sounds like a sinister crackle. We're now going to spawn the Hermes Pursuer 4 map tiles away from the Argo, or as far from the Argo as possible. Add the Crackle Exploration card to the Exploration deck and see the adversary rules in the rulebook for more details. Here's our Pursuer right here. It is not painted up. I had no idea this was going to hit the board. So we'll be painting this up in our live painting stream coming up this week. So please, if you're interested in seeing this painted, join us on either Wednesday or Thursday or Tuesday night. One of the days during the week. Every week I do a painting stream. I try to, at least. And we try to paint up the miniatures that we are using in our games. So this, of course, we are now using, so I need to get that painted up so it looks super cool on the board. Right now it's a giant gray thing, which is kind of neat because it is shrouded by clouds. It's going to go 4 spaces away. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be right there. And we do have to add our Crackles event to the exploration cards. So we'll add that in. I'll shuffle it right into our deck right now. We'll get it ready to go for our next expedition or exploration phase, I guess you could say. We'll put that right there. That is done. And that is it. I didn't have to put any Doom on the thing, so we're not going to have to resolve any Doom event type dealies. We're going to move into the end turn. There is nothing to do on the end turn, so we will move to our next beginning of turn, which will be moving our ship. There's only one way we can go, and that is this way. We're going to take our next card, flip it over, and see what we found. We have found, well, it's almost like another dead card. All right, so we're going around this island, I think, and I maybe am going the wrong way, but we are going to move this way. The only thing on here is that symbol there, which I believe is going to be, we're going to be gaining a Titan from that when it comes to that part of the adventure. We are going to mark off our next timeline here, and we do have a battle coming up here. So this is going to be, again, we'll interrupt the voyage phase, and we'll go into that when we reach that point. Now that we've gone up in our timeline, we'll move to the exploration step. So we are going to look at what is on our tile. We don't get to gain any Doom or any progress, which is sad, but we do get to trigger any symbols on the map. And like I said, there's one symbol right here, and that is going to be that we're going to discover a Titan as long as this tile has not been discovered. It hasn't. This is the first time we're discovering it. So we're going to gain another Titan, bringing our Titan a limit, or our Titans we have up to 10, which is our Titan limit. So if we ever want to get any more Titans, we have to either have some die, or we have to try to find a way to raise our Titan limit. The next thing we do is our exploration draw. So again, we're going to give it a good truffle shuffle here and get ready to draw out our cards. Let's see what we have found. Hopefully we don't find that one we just put in there, because that means that thing's going to go running towards us as fast as it possibly can, I believe. First thing we find is 2 resources. That's fantastic. I'll take them. That is going to be a total of 9 of those resources now. And let's see what else we find, because that is our first draw. Our second draw is going to be this one right here. We have found a Titan. Well, sadly, we can't gain that Titan. We have reached our limit, but I do get to draw another card. Oh, wow. Look at that. We did find Crackle. This is very, very bad. Very, 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 very bad. If our Argos fate is above 8, I resolve an additional symbol of this kind, which is kind of these nemesis, or what are these things called? Adversaries. They're adversaries. So many symbols, so many words. They resolve an additional adversary symbol. That's not going to happen. We do have 2 adversary symbols down here we have to resolve. So the way the adversary is going to work when it comes to those symbols, the first thing is I've been talking about needing 2 for him to spawn on the board. They actually, even if I would have gotten 2 during our game, as far as I understand, the adversary symbols are not going to play a part until the adversary is actually introduced. And he was introduced just now during the Crackle part of the special event. So that was the first time he was introduced. So now these symbols really are going to mean something. So since we got a double symbol here, the first thing we're going to do is check to see if the adversary is already present on the map. It is. So it's going to move towards the Argo along the shortest available path for every, what do you call those? Oh, adversary symbols on the card. So he's going to move 1, 2 towards us. Super close to us. Not good. Oh boy. Now, a few rules we have to keep in mind when it comes to the adversary. The adversary, this is bad news city, I'll tell you right now. The adversary does move 1 tile toward the Argo, and it can move vertically or horizontal, cannot move diagonal, which is at least half the battle. The problem here, though, is it can move on to an adjacent map tile, even if it is not connected by a direction arrow when it comes to this. It can move straight over this and come right at us. So it's really technically 1 space away from us right now at this point. If the adversary lands on our ship, we would stop everything and start a battle with that adversary. So we'd stop our exploration step, and that would be what we do. We go right into this battle. But that's what happens here. We only moved it 2. Our Argos fate was not 8, so it does not move an extra space. Good news, bad news, I have to draw another card. Because this has to draw another card symbol. So hopefully this is not an adversary. Oh no, we're going to start an adversary battle. It's going to be amazing. All right, I get to gain 2 armament resources. Then it moves again. We are now up to 8 armament resources, and now I'm kind of thinking maybe I should have crafted something. Because here comes this guy. Now we're going to go into this battle in the next video, of course. Because our adversary has landed on our ship. I do have to remove this until the next timeline battle, which is kind of funny because I'm going to go right into this. Then it's going to, then basically right after that step, I'm going to go right into a battle with one of our other giant beasts, because that's going to hit our timeline battle almost right after this battle. I want you to bear in mind that the way this is going to work, we just finished our exploration step. Then we're going to do the expedition step. There aren't any symbols or anything on this other than the gain the Titan, so we would not be doing any expedition stuff, sorry. So after that particular step, we would go to the encounter step. So like I said, this is going to be a back-to-back encounter. We are going to take this guy on, and then we're going to take either Labyrinthiosaurus on, or we're going to take on the Hecaton, both at level 1. So 2 battles coming back-to-back in this game. This is going to be absolutely amazing. Jeez, this game is so good. So there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the voyage phase of the Argo. We did a lot of awesome things. We gained a lot of resources. We're going to be going, like I said, in 2 back-to-back fights. We're going to have to fight this guy first, and then we're going to have to take on a level 1 Hecaton or Labyrinthosaurus. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when more content comes out for this game and all the rest of the stuff I play. Also, if you're interested, please feel free to leave anything in the comments below. I would love to hear from everyone. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out my Patreon. The link to that is also found in the description of this video. Those that have supported me are located here on the screen. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. We're going to be moving into a battle, but first we're going to have to paint this guy up. We do live painting episodes every week, so please check out the live channel so you can join me during those live painting sessions. Also, we do a live playthrough with Colin from the One Stop Co-op Shop. Usually try to do it about every Monday or Tuesday, depending on schedules. So again, please check those out and join us for those battles, or for those games as well. Aeon Trespass Odyssey is an amazing experience. I'm super excited to continue this, and we're going to do back-to-back battles. Hopefully we can make it through both of them and continue our voyage. Otherwise, who knows? This could be the end of the Argo, and we just started our journey. Again, thank you so much for watching, and if you're excited to see the Aeon Trespass Odyssey's double battle or anything else, then I need you to meet me at the table.